Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Edge Sports Network. Got another interview for you guys today. We're joined by Mitchell Brinkman, tight end at University of South Florida. Mitchell, how you doing? Thanks for coming on the site today.
I'm doing well, Nick. Thank you for having me.
Of course, great to have you on. Part of our series of interviews we got going on this summer. We'll start early on in your career here. I know you're from Iowa, so I just want to start with the basics here. Growing up in Iowa, what's kind of the football culture like? As a kid growing up there, how do you kind of get introduced to the sport?
Yeah, so there's obviously no professional teams in Iowa,
Mm-hmm.
and then I'm also right on the border to Nebraska, and there's no professional team in Nebraska, so it's kind of all surrounded by college football.
Mm-hmm.
And then my dad actually played at Northern Iowa, so I grew up having a passion for football and
Mm-hmm.
traveling and going to football games with him. So it was just something that I was really passionate about from a very young age.
Yeah, the passion showed. You were great in high school. Your junior year, you made 36 catches, 570 yards with 7 touchdowns. Followed it up with a good senior year, had 453 yards, 5 touchdowns. You were selected to the All-State by the Des Moines Register, the Waterloo Cedar Falls Courier, and the Gazette in Cedar Rapids. So when you have that success in high school, how does that kind of get you prepared mentally and physically, for that next level in college?
Yeah, so I had a great high school staff
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of great teammates that and we played in the highest level in Iowa, so it was the best competition in the state, and
Mm-hmm.
that kind of prepared me for ultimately when I came to NIU. I was ready for whatever challenges came up.
And is there a lot of pressure when you're going into college after you have a high school career like that? Do you put pressure on yourself? Do you have pressure from like media, outside sources, teammates and stuff, or did you feel pretty comfortable going into college?
Yeah, I was pretty confident in myself.
Mm-hmm.
I knew my own abilities, and I just want to take it one day at a time and see where it took me.
I think that's a pretty good attitude to have right there. And you end up going to Northern Illinois University, staying in the Midwest there. So what kind of led you to going to NIU? What went into the decision there? I know I found that, picking a school might sometimes be tough for guys, might sometimes be a little bit of a challenge to narrow it down at the selection. But what kind of drew you to that school, and what made you decide, all right, I'm going to continue the career over at NIU?
Yeah, so at the time before I got NIU's offer, I just had a couple FCS offers,
Mm-hmm.
and then it was after my senior year. So I was just wondering if someone was going to take a chance on me, and then ultimately NIU offered me, being my first FBS offer. I committed within like 15 seconds of receiving the offer,
Oh, wow.
and and then I kind of declined everybody else's calls from then on out. Just because they took a chance on me, so I was 100% committed to them from the start.
Yeah, didn't waste any time there, it sounds like. And I know you kind of got the opportunities right out of the gate. I know in 2016 you made your first start. So what is it like? What's kind of the emotion making your first start in college football? I would assume that's a really special moment. What's kind of going through your mind? How'd you really prepare for that game? And when you're out there on the field, I'm pretty sure it's a surreal feeling. I know you said growing up, you're kind of surrounded by college football. So to be going out there making your first start in college football, how'd that feel?
It was definitely a great feeling. It came a lot sooner than expected.
Mm-hmm.
Being my true freshman year, but I felt the coaching staff and my teammates, were there for me, and they stayed with me late to make sure that I was completely prepared. I would say honestly, the most stressful part of it was the week before when the tight end got hurt,
Mm-hmm.
and because I was going to redshirt, and then it was the third quarter against San Diego State. Our tight end got hurt, and ultimately the coaching staff just turned and said, "You're in." So that was kind of, I wasn't expecting it, obviously, that game. So at least I had a week to prepare before my first start. But yeah, it was, my teammates and coaching staff, they definitely did a great job of helping me prepare to be ready for the stage. So.
Yeah, you certainly looked ready. I know your first 2 years, you were kind of just getting into the swing of things. And I know you also had your first touchdown in 2017. First touchdown, always a big moment. And I haven't asked a lot of guys this, but it is kind of a simple question here. When you score your first touchdown, do you remember the route you ran? Do you remember the defense? Do you remember every part of that? Or is it just kind of something that goes, that's kind of a blur by now? But that first touchdown, like, what do you remember about that?
Yeah, so I remember pretty much everything.
Uh-huh.
It was against Ball State at home, and it was a mesh concept. and coach said left all week that usually I would set the depth for the receiver, and I would pick his guy, but they said, you know what, like they think they're going to overplay the receiver, so they set it up the whole week that the pick was going to be for me, and then I was going to ultimately be open in the end zone. But Ball State actually they showed man, so we're like, okay, this is going to work. It's going to work. And then on the snap, they switched to zone. So then I kind of had to ad-lib it and like go behind the linebacker in the corner. And then Marcus Childers, who was the quarterback, he made a great throw and great adjustment. But we were not expecting the zone coverage inside the 5-yard line from him. So it was definitely, a change from what we practiced all week.
Yeah, you made the adjustment, scored the touchdown. But yeah, I've always kind of just wanted that first career touchdown. I don't really know if guys remember. I'm sure most of them do, because you got other sports like baseball and stuff. Every guy remembers their first hit, but football, does every guy remember their first touchdown? Well, clearly you do. Knew what the defense was doing, knew the route. So that's good to hear right there. And I know this past year, just kind of, you really broke through. Things really came together. You had 34 catches for 445 yards, 3 touchdowns. So, I mean, what kind of clicked for you this past season? After your first 2 years, you definitely got a little bit comfortable with the program here, and then this year really showed on the field. So how'd things kind of come together, and, what'd you kind of do this offseason to get ready for this previous year?
Yeah, so as far as off-season training goes, I treat everything the exact same, and I just knew that I was going to get my opportunity this year. In 2018, I was prepared, and I thought it was going to be the year I had this year, but ultimately I ended up getting hurt, so I only played in 4 games. So then I knew it was just a matter of time before, I could prove to everybody what I knew I could do all along. So.
And, I mean, when you get injured like that, we have talked to a few guys that have went through injuries. They've taken time off. Some guys respond well. Some guys have a tough time with it. I mean, how was it for you? I know it's pretty tough to just kind of keep your head in the game, stay focused on football, be able to work day in, day out, and kind of stay on track. Clearly you did, but how hard was that to do, and how'd you kind of do it? How'd you manage with the adversity?
Yeah, so it was definitely tough at first because, I was preparing to be ready, our first game of the year. But I was blessed enough to have the situation where it was the same year the NCAA passed the 4-game redshirt rule. So I kind of had some motivation knowing that, whenever I did come back, I was going to be able to at least play that season and play 4 games. So that kind of, helped me have a positive attitude throughout the whole process, and, ultimately ended up working out in the end for us.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you keep that eligibility, and I know this past offseason you just transferred to USF, so it's your final year of NCAA eligibility, and when you make a move like that, it's obviously a big decision. So what'd you kind of like about USF? What'd you like about the program? What ultimately made you decide, all right, taking the talent down to Florida? So.
Yeah, so the biggest thing was the coaching staff and the people that I was introduced to. Even if it was virtually, I met Mr. Kelly, the AD, and then I met the dean, of the College of Business out there, and they were very passionate about what the opportunities Tampa brought, and Coach Scott, Coach King, and Coach Weiss. It was evident that they are passionate about the game of football, and it was an easy choice for the coaching staff that I wanted to play my final year with.
And now you're making the move to Florida. I mean, definitely a little bit different than the Midwest. That's for sure. So is there anything you're, nervous about making a move like that? I'm sure you're excited for a lot of things. Maybe a little bit nervous, going to be pretty far from home. I know Iowa and Illinois, not super close, but still that Midwestern region. So are you a little bit nervous at all? Or what are you looking forward to down in Florida? I mean, the weather's much nicer. It doesn't snow, I don't think anyway. But what are you kind of looking forward to in your final season here at USF?
Yeah, so I've actually only been to Florida for football games, so it'll be nice to go down there and be able to spend some time.
Yeah.
I'm more excited than anything because everything that I've done so far has been, over the computer. I didn't over my phone. I didn't have a visit out there, so I'm anxious and excited to get down there. Meet my future teammates. I've met a lot of them over text and stuff like that. But it's going to be a lot of fun to finally meet them in person and get to know them and get this thing going.
Yeah, it should be a really good time. And I know The weather. I know in the summer, you might not want to. I've been there a couple times. Went in the summer once. It gets to be like 100 degrees. Not fun, really humid. But football season, perfect weather. So I think you'll really enjoy it down there. And you guys got some really good teams on the schedule this year. I mean, you got Texas, UCF, Cincinnati. So, I mean, what are you kind of looking forward to playing that level of competition? I mean, how do you think it's going to improve and kind of test your game? Because those are some really good teams. So, I mean, how do you feel like you're going to perform against them? And, what are you looking for to kind of improve your game playing these, solid teams?
Yeah, so the biggest thing is I'm going to treat every game like it's the same, regardless of who the opponent is.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I know the coaching staff's going to have a great plan for the offense and for me personally, and I'm just going to, do what I can to the best of my ability to help the team, get the win.
Yeah, exactly. I know USF, they went 4-8 last year, so it was a little bit of a tough season. So, I mean, what are you kind of hoping to bring to this team next year? And, I mean, what are you kind of hoping to see? Do you have any goals? Is like a team goal, individual goal, anything you really have your mind set on that you want to see have happen this year?
Yeah, so what I plan to bring to the table is, leadership in the locker room, on the field, off the field.
Mm-hmm.
I've played a lot of football, and I want to help bring that expertise to the young guys, to my teammates, and, just help them any way I can. And, as far as goals, I just want, individually and for the team, I just want, the team to perform at a high level. And I know
Mm-hmm.
the coaching staff, they have a great plan for us, and I'm excited to get down there and, do it with my teammates and get to work.
Yeah, certainly should be a fun year. I know hopefully you can get down there sooner than later. Hopefully, travel becomes a little bit easier and stuff with everything going on. But we always like to end on two questions here. One of them's a bit of a fun one. The other one, kind of easy, kind of hard. I don't know. Maybe it'll be easy, maybe it'll be hard. We'll see. First one here. If you could tell people one thing that they would not know about you, something, I don't know, like a hidden talent, something people just don't know, interesting story. If you could tell people one thing, what would that be?
Whew.
Yeah, this one might be tough too. So, this one might be tough.
Yeah, no. So just an interesting thing about me is, I'm a dog person.
Mm-hmm.
My girlfriend and I have 2 dogs, and so it's definitely going to be tough leaving them. But I'm hoping some of my teammates down there have some animals that I could, get my fix with.
I hear it. Yeah, if you were a cat person, we're not going to be able to post this interview actually because we don't accept that on the site. But second question I have for you here. This one's a little bit more serious, but 5 years down the road, if you could craft the ideal scenario for yourself, where would you be? What would you be doing? So, like, what would be the perfect situation for Mitchell Brinkman?
Yeah, so 5 years from now, I have every intention and every goal of still playing in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
And, that's what I'm working towards every day. And, that's what I'm going to be, working towards when I play in the game this fall.
There you go. You handled both questions really well. So, nailed them. But, yeah, I mean, best of luck this year at USF. Should be really fun. Beautiful weather down there. Should be a great time. And as I said, hopefully you get out there right on time. Hopefully the season starts up on time. But Mitchell Brinkman, thank you so much for joining us here on the site today. It was great to have you on.
Thank you, Nick. I really appreciate it.
No problem at all. We'd love to have you on again. We'll put your Twitter down below so people can follow your career and your final season here at USF. We'll also put a link to the USF football page down below so you guys can follow news and updates regarding the entire team. But guys, thanks so much for joining us here on Edge Sports Network, and we'll see you guys next time.